Welcome to the epic world of dog training. I am JT Lawson. I am the lead trainer at Make Your Dog Epic. I also own the Oklahoma locations for Make Your Dog Epic, where we turn your canine companions into truly epic dogs. Get ready for your daily doses of wisdom as we tackle your questions and unleash the secrets to mastering dog training. As always, our goal is to gain obedience, but never at the expense of the dog's personality. Can I have a kiss? Oh, thank you. Oh, good job. Can I have a kiss? Well, thank you. Oh, let's try again. Oh, what? One more? No? Okay. Yes, and yes, we are back with the Make Your Dog Epic podcast. And I'm joined here today by a guy I consider my friend. I don't know if he would consider the same about me, but he is awesome. He has such an incredible life story, and he has been training dogs and all other animals for a long time now. And I had a chance to meet him at a training for film and TV course where they trained people on how to train dogs for movies and TV shows, commercials, still pictures, stuff like that. And I learned so much because how they train, it's so logical, but it's so counterintuitive to how a lot of people train. So you just learn so much, and then you get to see the behind the scenes of the how to train in that specific area on set, how to manage those people, how to have a second trainer. I didn't even know that was a thing, how to have a third trainer, or how to get paid, stuff like that, which is important. So I have been reading his book. I have learned a bunch about him, and I just want to welcome on to the Make Your Dog Epic podcast, Bryan Renfro. How are you, sir?
Very well. How are you?
I am doing awesome. So tell us a little bit about your backstory, and a little bit about how you got into dog training, stuff like that.
Well, I don't know how far you want to go back, but
Wherever.
Well, let's just start with Vietnam. I did
Okay.
my tour in Vietnam in 68, 69. And after that, I was allowed to, they had to give me my old job back because I was drafted. And I got into a motorcycle accident, lost my job. And my uncle, who owned the show at Universal Studios in Hollywood back in the 70s, he allowed me to come and clean cages for $15 a week. And at the same time, I was getting $35 a week unemployment. So I was making a whopping $50 a week. And, at that time, I was happy. And I just started working there and started learning watching other trainers and learning how to train.
No, that is awesome. And so, and that's how you got into dog training. When you were there, what did you start? What animals were you training, and how did you learn to train them?
Well, the very first animal that I trained was a green wing macaw parrot. And the reason I did that, I after cleaning cages for a while and watching people train, I asked my uncle if there was something I could train, try to train something, and he's pointed to a bird over there, and I looked at it and I said, "What's his name?" He said his name is Tuffy, and I said, "Why?" And he says, "Because he eats everybody up, so nobody will work him." So that was my challenge in the very beginning. And the very first thing I taught him was to walk up my arm and put his head on my chest. And that was a behavior we call "show me how you love me." And I had no idea what I was doing, but I was trying it. And I'll never forget, I was sitting out on the stage in between shows, and I had Tuffy, and I asked him to do that, and he did it. And I started to cry because until that point in my life, I had no direction. I had no idea where I was going. I mean, the only thing I knew how to do was break down an M16, and that was my job skill. And when Tuffy did he showed me how you love me, I knew I could do this training thing, and I knew I was going to have a career. And I've been doing it ever since.
That's great. And I'm going to show this other screen really quick so I can because there's pictures on you. And just to clarify, you can see this, right?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Cool. And so this is you, right? Or is this Joel? I know that it's
yeah.
mixed
No,
in.
that's me when I had hair.
And this is you. I mean, this stuff is so that's Joel.
That's
Um,
Joe. That's me.
oh yeah. Look, oh man, you were jacked. How often were you going to the gym?
I was. It depends. A lot of times I worked out at home,
Okay.
so I've been working at home for a long time.
That is awesome. Well, these are such cool photos. Well, I'll get back to the interview 'cause instead of looking at photos of you all day, which I would love to do, but we'll get back on topic. But so who was the when you made that transition? Because you've worked on set a lot. Did you go to was it stuntman first or was it training animals or which one happened first?
Animal training.
Okay, and
And,
what was that?
I just wanted to say, but it's funny because my father, who was he was born in 1892. He was 53 when I was born. He was in silent comedies as a stuntman back in Florida before they moved to Hollywood in 19 around 1917. And from there, he became an animal trainer and did a lot of film work in the business. I just kind of started in the opposite direction. I started training animals first and then moved into stunts.
That's sick. So who was that? So you did animal training first. What was the job or what was the role or what'd you do there?
Well, my very first animal training, the very first movie I ever worked on was a thing called Snow Goose with Richard Harris and Ginny Agrica. And that was around 1971, 1972.
Got it. And so you've also you trained Benji, right? You worked with Benji on
Yep.
the it was called Benji the Hunted, or did you do all the Benji movies or how did that
No,
work?
no,
Okay.
actually, I had a TV series in 1980 called Here's Boomer, and the dog did the whole show. He was they had there wasn't a particular actor. Every actor was different on the episode on the different episodes, but he was the main character. And Frank Inn, who owned and trained Benji, was a big Boomer, a big fan of Here's Boomer. So when this movie came up, Benji the Hunted, he called me and asked me if I would train Benji for the movie because he was quite a bit overweight and in his 70s, and it was all going to be done in the forest and all these different places, which would be hard to get to. And of course, I was like, "Wow, yeah, you're asking me to," that's like Spielberg asking some commercial director to direct his next feature
Sure.
film. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's that's great. And then in this in Benji the Hunted, there was a ton of different animals on set, right? So you had um
Yeah,
I think you were saying you worked with cougars and stuff as well.
they were yes, a gentleman named Steve Martin's working wildlife. He brought his crew up there, and we had cougars, we had wolves, we had a Kodiak bear, we had an eagle, um, and well, a bunch of other little animals that for the forest. So
Yeah.
it was we probably had more animal trainers in that particular production than we did, um, the regular crew. There's a lot of trainers on the show.
That's that's great. And so with that, what is your favorite? You trained a bunch of different animals. What is your favorite animal to train?
Uh, Boy, that's hard to say because they're all different. But
Sure.
I was my dogs. Of course, I've had quite a few of them, and they're all very, very special to me. My eagle, my golden eagle, was very. We were very, very close, and I did some really good work with her. And it's really hard to pick one, but I used to like lay my head on my eagle's perch, and she would just kind of pick up my hair and touch my head and stuff. And I mean, if she wanted to, she could crush my head, but she was just the sweetest. And I don't know, maybe that was one of my favorites.
Okay, cool. That's great. And then as far as like, okay, so now the opposite end, least favorite. What and are we can we get into that story? I don't want to get into it if you don't want to, but I genuinely love the story.
What story?
About the orangutan that
Oh,
we talked.
orangutan.
Yeah. Yeah, that I mean that story is I I told a couple people here that I work with, and their minds like mind was when I first heard that story, it's just blown. But I didn't know if we I forgot to bring
Which
it up
story
before.
are you talking about?
The one in the when the orangutan challenged you. That one where they
That. Yeah, that's um, primates at some point will challenge you. And if you ever want to work them, you're going to have to deal with it. If they challenge you and you walk away from it, they won, and you will never work them again because they will come on to you, And
and
so
and how for the people who never seen this, how do you know an orangutan is challenging you?
they'll come right up to the fence and start rattling it and making noises and you can tell.
Yeah, and they're and now for people who are listening or watching, orangutans they're typically like they're you would say waist level. Like they're not massive, but when you look up the stats, they're as strong as like 5 or 10 grown men. So
Believe me,
it's
I have seen orangutans that like the one they used on the Clint Eastwood movies. I think that was the first one, the first or second one that they used. He was bigger than a linebacker for the Green.
oh,
Oh, I mean, this thing was his wrists were as big as my thighs.
oh
He
my
was
word.
scary. He was really, really scary. So I went in, to have a little talk with this orangutan, and he right away swept me off my feet, put me on the ground, and was on top of me, eating me. So we had a fight. It lasted, seemed like it lasted for about an hour, but it was probably only about a minute or two.
Yeah.
And I got him to finally submit. And with those primates, it's a head deal. It's they have to know that you're on top of them. They they will come after you if they think that they can. So you're going to have to put them down, put their feet down, and start giving them commands and let them know that you're not in charge. I'm in charge, and this is what you're going to do. And one of the behaviors I did right after we got into what you would say an argument,
Yeah.
I we have this behavior where we tell the orangutan to give me a kiss, and that when he does that, the orangutan puts his big mitt behind your head and pulls your face into his
Oh,
face. And now this orangutan had just been trying to eat me, so when I made him sit down, and I told him to give me a kiss, uh, and he did that, and then I walked out, and my legs were a bit weak. I can take.
that that's got to be insane because this orangutan just got done trying to eat you, and then now you're asking it to put its face right next to your face, and I would
Yeah,
have been like this the whole time. I would have been shaking the whole
I
time.
was when I walked out.
that's that's so funny. um so one of the chapters in your book, it's titled Walking with a Lion, or Hey Monty, need a rattlesnake. So
Oh, yeah.
and you were doing a commercial with for Kodiak cameras, and you talk about a animal trainer, Monty Cox, that was there with
Uh-huh.
you, and he asked you to go feed his alligators with you while his 4-year-old lion walked with you guys. To walk me through that, because you're going to feed his pet alligators, and while his pet lion walks by. Tell me about that.
Well, they had Monty Cox, who is also a top stuntman, also. Um, he had this. He had a lion that was he was 4 years old, and just the sweetest thing in the world. I mean, you could walk right alongside of him. So we said, okay. He said, hey, we're going to walk the lion down there. And I said, okay, sure. And I stood there, and he let the lion out, and we're walking along and down, I don't know, 300 or 400 yards to where the alligators were. It was all forest and stuff, and I was looking at the alligators, and Monty was feeding them, and I noticed that I turned to, well, actually, what happened was the lion let out a roar, which rattles your brain,
I,
and I was
I
like,
bet.
"Whoa!" Man. And I turned around, and the lion was about 10 feet in the air, And what had happened? He had sat down by a rattlesnake. And
Oh,
the rattlesnake started rattling, and the lion let out a roar and jumped up. And so I went over there and picked up the rattlesnake and said, "Hey, Monty, you need a rattlesnake?" And he said, "Yeah, I got a job next week for rattlesnakes. Thanks."
that is
That was it.
that's hilarious. And then I want to show this just so people can see this, but this is from the book, and this is a picture. So it's not like it's a small lion. Like it's 4 years old. It's a massive lion. So I know during that story when my pants would have went from white to brown is when you're facing this way and you hear the lion just roar beside, because one, I don't even know if I could walk with a lion, you know. But then you just hear it randomly roar super loud, and you turn around and it's 10 feet in the air. Immediately, my pants would have turned brown. But you instead just walk over, and you're like, hey, rattlesnake, here it is. That's so interesting. How did you get so uh comfortable with all these different animals? Is it just over time, or how does that happen?
Well, um, a great contributor is being young and thinking you're invincible. It's not until you get into your 70s that you realize, yeah, I'm not so young and I'm not so invincible. But no, you just you work with them, and sometimes actually is like on the Benji film, when you're working with these exotics, and you tend to get a little complacent, and you have to be careful about that, because you don't want to do something wrong and get bit or get somebody else bit. It's kind of like what happened in Vietnam.
Yeah.
We didn't get into gunfights every single mission. So after a mission or two, and nothing happens, you get a little complacent, and boom, that's when it happens.
Yeah. Well, the what advice would you have for a new animal trainer or dog trainer who's just starting out? They want to either get into dog training or they want to get into um doing a film or TV or stuff like that. What advice would you have for somebody just starting out?
Take our course.
Hey, that's perfect. I'm actually going to share the course.
But honestly, really, we teach, not just the dog training, but we teach everything about film. So when even if you've never been on a film set before, but you've taken our course, you're going to walk into a film set, and it's not going to be so foreign to you and scary. You'll know all about it.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah, I would suggest taking our course, and really, if you want to do dogs, if you want to get into the film business with animals, then dogs or cats are the way to go. Um, you don't want to get into exotics or anything like that, really, because there's enough companies doing that, and they're all over the place. I would obviously take our course and learn how to train a dog, and that's how I would do it.
yeah, and
There's
that
really
next one,
the other way.
you said what?
I said there really isn't any other way other than to work for a company who does that, or
Yeah.
volunteer for a company who does that.
Yeah, and what I think is great about well, one, the next one is coming up is Dallas, Texas. Joel just told me you guys have a couple spots left, so that's April 22nd and 26th. That's here in a couple weeks, and I learned so much from being there with you guys. Because the thing about it is you can either learn from mistakes or you can learn from people who've been through it. And you guys have been on so many different like shows, you've been on different movies, you've done it, and you've made mistakes, which is what I wanted to learn from, right? Because you can learn some from successes, but you can learn more from other people's mistakes. That way you don't have to do the same, at least as my output on life. So that's why I was so interested to learn this course. I learned a lot about dog training, but more so I learned about the behind the scenes and how to carry yourself with confidence there, because when you don't know what's going to happen, it's hard to carry yourself with confidence, and it's kind of like a blind confidence. But if you know,
Mhm.
hey, this is how the pay works, this is how reading a script works, this is how you talk to the director, or this is you don't talk to the director, and this is who you talk to, or this is who you need to become friends with, and there's just so many different layers of it that you don't get without experience unless you pay someone to teach you. And I learned so much, even if you're not planning to like train dogs specifically for film or TV. I learned so much from how you guys talk with dogs. Because you guys are so intentional about um, when training. Because the obedience training world, which I'm in, and the TV or movie training world that you're in, there's similarities, but they're also so different. Because with you guys, you you have to, and this was actually my next point I was going to bring up, but you have to, you don't have always have time to train the animal. So sometimes you're doing it on the spot, right? Or the director's like, hey, actually, I know you've trained this way for 4 months. However, I want this take this way. And then now you have to switch it. So in your book on page 253, you're right. The point is that at times we have to train the behavior right there on set, right on the spot. Sometimes the behavior is something in the animal's wheelhouse or a trick or behavior they may already know the core of. And the new gag is just a variation. So walk me through that. Just what it's what you mean by that of because Joel talks about it too. That tricks are just you have the foundation and then it's just little steps to get to the end picture. But walk me through that a little bit.
Well, I'll tell you. I'll tell you a little story on Little House on the Prairie when I had the orangutan on there. Um, there was a scene where Victor French, one of the main actors on the show, and the orangutan are in bed, and he is reading a bedtime story to the orangutan, and he falls asleep. But yeah, that's Victor French there. He falls asleep. So Michael wanted the orangutan to blow out the candle that was lighting the bedroom area, and it was right next to the bed. And I was like, okay, I never taught her that. I did, and I'm going, I've never taught anything to blow out a candle. So I'm going, okay, how do I do that? But one of the things is one of the behaviors that I did train was to do the raspberry, which is that kind of thing. So I started to, as they were lighting the set, I'm working with Strawberry was the name of the orangutan. I'm working with her on the raspberry, and I'm trying to transfer that into blowing the candle out. So I would do that. She would do that, and then I'd blow the candle out. And then I'd have her do that again and blow the candle out. Then I'd have her do that again and blow the candle out. Then I'd have her do that again, but I didn't blow the candle out. And now she's starting to think, what's going on here? Okay, I'm not getting a reward, nothing's going on. So she would do the raspberry again. And then she went, and when she did that, it was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I just gave her everything.
Yeah,
Here you go, here you go. Next time she goes and blows the candle out. And I was like, yeah, we got it, Mike. Thanks.
that is that is so cool to me. Because the transition, I mean, it's such a rewarding feeling. Like when you first trained the I forget which bird it was, but the very first animal you trained, once they
Mm.
do it, for that first time with any train, once you see it click in their mind where they're like, oh, this is what you're asking. It's such a rewarding feeling. It
Oh,
feels
it is.
it. There's not many better feelings because you're like, oh, yes, I communicated. They get it. Now it's just about doing it on camera and at the right
Yeah,
time,
yeah.
with now the other distractions going on. But that's a great one.
It really is cool. It's like my border collie. He has to put his toys in a Tupperware container when we finish. So, like if I'm playing ball with him, or I've got a long rope that has a bunch of knots in it, and we play with that. So he has to put it into a container when we finish, and he loves to chew on it. So after we play, I'll let him chew on it a little bit while I get his reward. But once I get his reward, I'll just kind of stand there and kind of tap the reward a little bit, and he'll pick up the toy and he'll go put it in the box, but it doesn't always go in there because one or two ends will be out. So I just sit there and watch him, and he has to think, and he'll put one in, and then he'll pick up the other, and he'll start to leave, and then he'll see the other one is out. He'll pick that up and put it in, and then I give him the reward. And that is, you can actually see him thinking on how to do this. And to me, that is, it just brings a smile, and it's like, yeah, that was so cool.
Yeah, right. Well, and then where with that, when you talk to trainers and animal trainers or dog trainers, where do you think most get it wrong? So where do you think most of them struggle at, or they get caught up, or where do you think you would disagree with most?
I think a lot of people try to move too fast. One of the things that Joel and I constantly preach is the basics. They have to have the basics. Don't try to move too fast. And especially like when we train the work away, which means the dog works completely away from you. You stand behind the dog and give it commands, and the dog does all the commands, not looking at you. So they really, to before you can ever start training that, they really have to know the commands. And what I do is I train on a big table, like about 4 by 4 and carpeted, and I will stand back with my hands folded and just say, sit, stand, lie down. I'll give it all the commands, and then I'll bring down on the floor, and I'll start doing the commands of back up and crawl. And once they know that on vocal commands, then I can go ahead and start training the work away. But I think most people kind of fall flat on trying to progress too quickly, and they won't regress. If something's not working and you're trying to progress too quickly, back up a little bit, go back and train a little bit, fix it, and then move on. But don't move too fast.
Yeah, and that's a big one. That's one of the I'm gonna find this real quick. But that's one of the things. So I'm writing a dog training book. And that's one of the big things that I talk about. I'm glad you brought that up, but it's taking a step back to go forward, because a lot of
Yeah,
people, they're trying to get the dog to do something, no matter, doesn't matter what it is, but they're trying to get the dog to do something, and they feel themselves getting frustrated. A pro tip to anyone: if you're training an animal and you feel yourself getting frustrated, chances are the animal's frustrated too, right? So
yeah,
so because they don't get it. So what you have to do is, instead of just trying to plow through that, just take a step back, do something the dog understands, and work your way back to it. Because or else you can keep pounding away, but you're going to get there and the dog's going to be frustrated. You're going to be frustrated. Where it would have just been so much easier just to take a step back and move through it.
yes,
So
absolutely.
I'm glad you brought that up. And then if somebody wants to order one of your books, where should they go to get that?
Oh, I'm just on Amazon.
Nice. So Amazon, and then I'll bring this up again because I want to make sure people know where to find you guys. So they go to joelsilverman.net and they can click on the workshops and then the film and TV course. This is the one they have coming up April 22nd through 26th, and you learn so much. Here you guys are, and I genuinely, I can't express enough how much I learned from you guys there. It just changes perspective, and you guys do so much differently than other people do, and IMDb is just, it goes on forever, literally forever. I was looking at it the other day, and when you click to see all, it never stops because it takes long to load. You have to scroll down forever because you've been in so much stuff. So it's so cool to me. My finger gets tired scrolling through all those, but that's that's what you guys got going on. I genuinely would suggest anyone thinking about it to get out there, meet you guys, learn a lot. But I'll leave the last word up to you, and we'll sign off here.
Well, thank you so much for having me and for having Joel. We love what we're doing. We neither one of us have an ego, so we're we're more than happy to explain and tell you everything we've done, give you all of it. Like I say, we don't have egos, so we're not worried about that. Some other trainers would probably not tell you some of the things that we tell you, but we lay it all out there on the line. If the people who come to our course actually get into the film business and do stuff like some of the people already have, that is so rewarding to us because that means we're doing our job and we're teaching people and we just love it. And that little dog that you saw in between Joel and I on that last picture, that's my new dog. That's Joey.
Is
So that's
it?
yeah, I brought
Oh,
him to
Joey.
the last course that we did.
Yeah, I did not get to see Joey. But that's Joey right there. That's what you're saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, Joey. Well, I would, yeah, I mean, that's huge. That was one of the first thing I noticed from you guys is, when you start talking to these different dog trainers, because I've went through a bunch of different, not only courses, but I paid people to go out and learn specific, like right from them. And a lot of these dog trainers, they have massive egos. And they don't, I mean, it's the reason why I don't want to own a dream of mine used to be to own a basketball gym and have different basketball gyms and have trainers. But the dog training world is so similar where if you talk to a basketball trainer, they're so stuck that their way is the best and only way to do it.
Yeah.
And and if you try to like, even if it's like ask a question to try to understand, they're like mad because you don't understand it, and they're so unhelpful. And so I really appreciated that with you guys, because you're not only patient with dogs, you're patient with people because you're training both dogs and people. And I'd love to have you on again and stay in contact.
Absolutely.
And maybe I'll have you and Joel on at the same time. But I appreciate you,
All right.
and I'll talk to you soon.
You got it. Thank you.
Do you need to have your dog professionally trained? Do you need your dog to stop barking at the neighbors? Do you want your dog to stop going potty in the house? Do you want to have an epic and well-trained dog at an affordable price? What makes the Make Your Dog Epic dog training experience unique? At Make Your Dog Epic, your first dog training lesson is just 50 cents, which is less than $1. Make Your Dog Epic is home to the highest rated, most reviewed dog training company in the area. At Make Your Dog Epic, we will beat any competitor's price for similar services. At Make Your Dog Epic, we offer a money-back guarantee. So if the training doesn't work, we never blame you or the dog, it's always our fault. At Make Your Dog Epic, we offer the fastest turnaround time in the industry. That way you can start enjoying time with your epic dog as soon as possible. At Make Your Dog Epic, when you schedule that first lesson with us, we automatically enter you in for a chance to win a dream vacation to Hawaii. Whoa! Which is a lot like Oklahoma, except the weather's different. There's beaches, palm trees. But if you'd rather go to Oklahoma, we can do that as well. How does the Make Your Dog Epic training experience work? When you fill out that form on makeyourdogepic.com, we are going to call you and schedule that first lesson for just 50 cents, which is less than $1. We are going to meet you for that first lesson. That way we can tell you what it's going to take to get your dog to your goals. Because every dog's different and everyone's goals are different. We'll either do one-on-one lessons where it's half dog training, half human training. I'll let you guess which one's harder. Or we're going to do boarding school, where you send your dog with us and we take care of all the homework for you. No matter what you do, we're going to make sure everything transfers to you. Because it's pretty pointless if we get your dog to listen to us, but no one else in your family. Disclaimer, currently we do not offer a service that will get your in-laws to listen to you. You will receive unlimited ongoing group class for the remainder of your dog's epic life. That's because we want to be there for you and your dog forever. We never want you to have to use another trainer after training with us. Our goal is to teach obedience, but never at the expense of the dog's personality, because if we get your dog to listen, but we have to crush its spirit in the process, what's the point? Our motto is it's the same dog, but now it's all ears. You'll now have a well-behaved dog that you can walk or jog with without it channeling its inner sled dog and pulling you down the street. You will have a dog that won't bark at the neighbors or potty in the house. You will be entered in for a contest to win a dream trip to Hawaii that we will be giving away every January. Pow wow whoa, yippee-oh, yippee-yay. Take that first step and schedule that first 50-cent lesson at makeyourdogepic.com. Makeyourdogepic.com.
I know you're gonna dig this.
Let's go now. Let's go now. Here we go now.